There were more parallels between Pink Floyd and the Beatles than is usually acknowledged. Both bands' members were born and raised in the UK. The Beatles' first outline was conceived by two of the greatest pals ever, John Lennon and Paul McCartney. Similar to how Pink Floyd was created, Nick Mason and Roger Waters were close pals. Today, we'll examine each band separately and discover more about their similarities and differences. Before that, kindly subscribe to our channel below. Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd, an English rock band, was established in London in 1965. They distinguished themselves as one of the first British psychedelic bands to become well known with their protracted songs, auditory experiments, philosophical lyrics, and challenging live shows. They became well known as a progressive rock band, and some have even referred to them as the best. Pink Floyd was founded in 1965 by Syd Barrett, guitar lead vocals, Nick Mason, drums, Roger Waters, bass guitar vocals, and Richard Wright, keyboards, vocals. The band had gone through many iterations and aliases before officially adopting the moniker Pink Floyd. Barrett served as the group's leader and released two chart-topping songs in addition to overseeing the band's breakthrough debut album, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, 1967. Due to deteriorating mental health, Barrett resigned in April 1968. Guitarist and vocalist David Gilmour joined in December 1967. Waters took over as the group's major lyricist and thematic leader with the release of the albums The Dark Side of the Moon, 1973, Wish You Were Here, 1975, Animals, 1977, and The Wall, 1981. Two BAFTA awards were given to Pink Floyd: The Wall, 1982, a musical rendition of The Wall. Due to interpersonal issues, Wright and Waters left Pink Floyd in 1979 and 1985 respectively. With Gilmour, Mason, and later Wright, Pink Floyd carried on. They produced two additional albums, A Momentary Lapse of Reason, 1987, and The Division Bell, 1994, and followed both with tours before entering a period of hibernation. Everyone, with the exception of Barrett, gathered in 2005 for a standout performance at the Live 8 Global Awareness event. Barrett died in 2006, and Wright died in 2008. The Endless River, Pink Floyd's most recent studio album, was built using unreleased tracks from the Division Bell recording sessions. Gilmour and Mason resurrected Pink Floyd and released the song Hey Hey Rise in 2022 to protest the Russian-Ukrainian war. After selling more than 250 million records globally by 2013, Pink Floyd was among the best-selling artists of all time. Wish You Were Here, The Dark Side of the Moon, and The Wall are three of the best-selling albums of all time. The latter two have been inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. The albums of the group reached their highest point at number 1 on the UK album chart 5 times and the US Billboard 200 4 times. Some examples of well-known songs include See Emily Play, 1967, Money, 1973, Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2, 1979, Not Now John, 1983, On the Turning Way, 1987, and High Hopes, 1988. The ensemble has composed music for various movies. Inductions into the US Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the UK Music Hall of Fame took place in 1996 and 2005 respectively. King Carl XVI Gustaf of Sweden awarded Pink Floyd with the Polar Music Prize in 2008 for their contribution to modern music. In Liverpool in 1960, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr formed the English rock band The Beatles. They are the most influential band of all time and were instrumental in the 1960s counterculture's emergence as well as the recognition of popular music as an art form. The band later experimented with a range of musical styles, including ballads, Indian music, psychedelia, and hard rock. The band's roots are in skiffle, beat, and 1950s rock and roll. They also incorporated traditional pop and classical music components into their individual sound. The Beatles were innovators in recording, songwriting, and creative presentation, which led to a revolution in many areas of the music industry. They were regularly praised as the movement's pioneers among the youth and in society. The Beatles. The Beatles, led by Lennon and McCartney, sprang from Lennon's previous band, the Quarrymen, and established their reputation performing clubs in Liverpool and Hamburg over the course of 3 years, starting in 1960. Initially, Stuart Sutcliffe played bass for the duo. The core group, Lennon, McCartney, and Harrison, had been performing together since 1958. Before inviting Starr to join them in 1962, they passed through a number of drummers, including Pete Best. After signing with EMI Records and scoring their first hit, Love Me Do, in late 1962, manager Brian Epstein molded them into a professional group. and producer George Martin supervised and refined their records, substantially expanding their domestic success. The band earned the moniker the Fab Four as their fame soared into the strong fan frenzy known as Beatlemania, with Epstein, Martin, and other band members occasionally being referred to as the fifth Beatle informally. The Beatles had attained previously unheard levels of critical acclaim and financial success by the beginning of 1964, making them global celebrities. They played a crucial role in Britain's cultural renaissance, launching the British invasion of the American music market, and made their cinematic debut with A Hard Day's Night shortly after 1964. The band stopped playing live shows in 1966 as a result of a growing desire to improve their studio work and the impracticality of their concert tours. The albums Rubber Soul 1965, Revolver 1966, and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band 1967 was produced at this time, and the Beatles, commonly known as the White Album 1968, and Abbey Road saw increased financial success 1969. Their success ushered in the album era and made albums the preferred format for record consumption over singles. They also increased interest in psychedelic substances and Eastern spirituality among the general public and advanced the fields of electronic music, album art, and music videos. They established Apple Corps in 1968, a multifaceted multimedia company that is now in charge of initiatives pertaining to the band's history. All of the band's original members found solo success after the group's dissolution in 1970, and there have been a few partial reunions. Harrison passed away from lung cancer in 2001, while Lennon was assassinated in 1980. McCartney and Starr continued to perform music. With an estimated 600 million units sold globally, the Beatles are the most successful musical act of all time. They hold the record for the #1 single sold in the UK, the #1 albums on the UK albums list, 15, and the most #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, 20. The group won numerous honors, including 15 Ivor Novello Awards, 7 Grammy Awards, 4 Brit Awards, an Academy Award for Best Original Song Score for the 1970 documentary Let It Be, and 4 Brit Awards. They were admitted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988, and between 1994 and 2015, each central member was admitted on their own. They came in first place on Rolling Stone's polls of the best music artists in history in 2004 and 2011. They were listed among the top 100 historical figures by Time magazine. Pink Floyd, a progressive band that might not have developed into the magnificent beast they did if it weren't for the 4 boys from Liverpool, was one band that would be inspired by the fantastic music of the Beatles and, in particular, the relentless creative energy. Following Pink Floyd's signing with EMI and the rapid dissemination of news of the band's popularity, fate would bring the two bands together. Pink Floyd, led by Syd Barrett, developed a reputation as the forerunners of the new acid rock phenomenon that was sweeping Britain, and the Beatles were in awe of them. In such a short period of time, the group had become the talk of London with a fresh take on rock and roll. Before they knew it, they were in Abbey Road recording their debut album as a result of their incredible live performances and unrestrained artistic integrity. Pink Floyd was able to sit in and watch on while the Fab Four were in the middle of recording for Sgt. Pepper and at the height of its creative experimentation. This experience would stay with the band for years. However, in the band's more immediate response, the encounter would serve as the inspiration for one of the best songs from their self-titled debut. The song Lovely Rita from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and Pow R Talk H from Pink Floyd's debut have a lot in common. Both of them have peculiar voice effects and noises that are reminiscent of those heard during the renowned recording session that was happening in the studio next door. It's difficult to find two bands as dissimilar yet similar as the Beatles and Pink Floyd. Two significant British musical acts altered the course of rock and roll as we know it. The Beatles, however, were far more exclusive than Pink Floyd because they were the best-selling musical group of all time and had won numerous prizes for their performances. This is all from my side today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more Beatles content. Also, let us know in the comments which band you prefer the most and why. I will see you guys in the next one.